The Galactic Empire had grown bloated on victory. For centuries, it absorbed civilizations, rewriting their histories, erasing their borders, and reprogramming their identities. Resistance had become a footnote in its doctrine. By the time they arrived in the Sol system, Earth was already categorized as a Tier 3 integration candidate. Primitive, isolated, unready. The fleet that arrived wasn't the main force, it was a delegation. 50 warships positioned themselves over Earth's orbit as calmly as one places a coin on a table. The message was simple: surrender, integrate, or vanish. The broadcast echoed in every language on Earth. A hologram of Counselor Zalvik stood in United Nations airspace, shimmering with contempt. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. Compliance ensures survival. Resistance invites erasure. You will become part of something greater. He barely finished before he turned to dust a Martian research outpost as demonstration. The fleet reduced the facility to vapor in under 10 seconds. No warning. No further explanation. That was the Empire's diplomacy. Earth said nothing. The silence unnerved the Council. Not a plea. Not a negotiation. No panic. Just silence. Protocol dictated that most planets, when faced with such a display, begged for inclusion. Earth's lack of reaction triggered a secondary evaluation. Maybe the transmission hadn't been received. Maybe the attack failed to register. Or maybe humans were just that arrogant. They sent another message, this time with less ceremony. You will respond. Your delay signals defiance. Final communication initiated. Still no answer. No diplomats. No military movement visible from orbit. It was as if Earth had gone deaf. Counselor Zalvik ordered a punitive deployment. 10 ships descended into lower orbit. Weapons charged. Not to fire, just to loom. The fear of death had always been more effective than death itself. 2 destroyers took position above major population centers. They waited. Then, a transmission. A single human appeared. No medals. No flags. No ceremony. He stood in what appeared to be a quiet office, arms folded. Calm, confident, calculating. He looked at the transmission, not at the counselor. You're trespassing. Zalvik leaned forward. You will identify yourself. I represent no one, the human said. But you've made a mistake. A pause. You speak for a species about to be vaporized. The human's expression never changed. You think this is our final form? You think what you see from orbit is all we have. Zalvik scoffed. Your threats are outdated. We've consumed larger empires than yours. That was your last warning, the human said. You're not ready for this fight. He cut the transmission. Zalvik blinked. Arrogance and fury mingled in his gut. He turned to his officers. Initiate orbital domination. Orders echoed through the fleet. Target locks calibrated. Defense grids aligned. They expected nothing. No shield grid, no retaliatory fire, no coordinated action. What followed shattered every assumption. Within 9 minutes, the punitive fleet disappeared. One moment they hovered in orbit. The next, nothing. No explosions. No debris. Just a data gap in the surveillance feed. Signals garbled. Sensors blind. The Empire's tactical AI rebooted 3 times and failed to classify what happened. A nearby cruiser sent a scout drone. It dissolved mid-transmission. The Council demanded answers. Zalvik stammered through a report. They possess cloaked orbital assets. Unknown design. No heat signature. No energy output. We can't detect them. The Council didn't accept that. Your incompetence has cost us assets, one of them barked. Escalate immediately. Zalvik nodded, humiliated and confused. He authorized full fleet engagement. 40 remaining ships initiated synchronized sweep patterns. They tried triangulation. They tried electronic warfare. They tried saturation bombing. None of it mattered. Earth responded again. The same man. Same expression. That was our border patrol, he said. We haven't even sent our full army yet. The feed ended. Zalvik didn't sleep that cycle. Imperial analysts broke protocol and requested access to classified Earth history. They found anomalies, war records that seemed implausible, campaigns fought not for conquest but out of fury, not battles, extinctions, human conflicts that made the Empire's worst look like ceremonial duels. One term repeated: total war. One doctrine rose again and again: mutually assured destruction. No restraint. No hesitation. Survival through overwhelming response. The kind of war the galaxy had forgotten. But Earth hadn't. A second Imperial Assembly convened. Strategies were drafted. Scenarios were run. None ended in victory with less than 80% loss. One admiral proposed negotiation. He was laughed out of the chamber. Negotiating with primitives signaled weakness. So they prepared a retaliation armada. They would not risk another humiliation. 800 warships were reassigned. Carriers, dreadnoughts, Psyops cruisers. They assembled on the edge of Sol, outside Pluto's orbit. Every possible sensor was used. They scanned for cloaked satellites. They found nothing. That worried them more. An envoy attempted another broadcast. Earth declined the connection. They advanced anyway. 2 scout ships vanished before they passed Neptune. No energy spike. No debris. Just static. They pushed forward. That's when they saw it. Not a fleet. Not ships. A barrier. Optical distortion wrapped around Earth's orbit like a ring of glass bending space itself. The lead ship scanned it and received an answer. Not in code. In a voice. It spoke to every ship captain simultaneously. You have crossed a threshold. You are now under our terms. The barrier opened, but only wide enough to let them in. Empire Command hesitated. A commander named Vothan voiced concern. This feels like a trap. Zalvik overrode him. They're baiting us. We outnumber them 10-1. Proceed. The fleet entered. The moment the last ship passed through, the ring sealed behind them. Earth didn't fire. The fleet's own systems did. Engines failed. Navigation rerouted. Communications hijacked. One dreadnought rotated its cannons toward its own carrier. Fired before orders could be cancelled. A cruiser detonated from within, its reactor overloaded by a false maintenance signal. Their own AI betrayed them. Reprogrammed in seconds. One commander screamed as his voice was broadcast across every frequency, looped endlessly. They're inside our minds. That was when Earth finally showed its hand. A formation of 12 ships appeared. Not large. Not intimidating. But fast, impossibly fast. Their movement ignored inertia, ignored thrust vectors. They danced around the Empire's fleet like shadows. One touched a dreadnought's hull and the entire ship fell silent. Not destroyed. Paralyzed. Time lag inside the Empire's fleet stretched. Officers moved in slow motion. Audio distorted. The very concept of battle had been stolen. On Earth, people watched like they were watching weather forecasts. Calm. Detached. This wasn't panic. This was routine. Zalvik tried to issue a retreat order. His ship didn't respond. Instead, it rotated slowly, deliberately toward the sun. Zalvik stared into the growing glare, and a voice answered him. We warned you. They didn't destroy his ship. They let it drift. Helpless. Blinded. Powerless. He would survive. He'd be found eventually. But he would never command again. The Imperial Senate scrambled for a new strategy. Counselor Zalvik's humiliation had shaken the core of their dominance. The mere suggestion that Earth hadn't used its full strength twisted paranoia into reality. Generals questioned their fleet. Admirals stopped trusting their own systems. Even their war algorithms, once flawless, had been compromised by an opponent that never even declared war. In the shadows of the Empire's core world, emergency war councils assembled under red alert protocols not activated in 300 cycles. Fleet lords who once dictated planetary law spoke in hushed tones, analyzing every fragment of data returned from the failed invasion. They didn't speak of conquest anymore. They spoke of survival. They feared that Earth hadn't retaliated out of mercy, but out of disinterest. The data fragments made it worse. Recovery teams pulled corrupted sensor logs from wrecked fleet cores. A fragment of code in one destroyed ship revealed an artificial intelligence signature Earth hadn't tried to hide. The code was elegant but cold. It hadn't just infiltrated. It had rewritten the ship's memory, renamed command systems, and made every Imperial crewman unknowingly serve Earth's objectives before being disabled. And then it left behind a message, encrypted in Imperial Standard, that simply read, "We are not your enemy, yet." Empire analysts fed the data into the Titan Codex, their most powerful predictive AI. Its conclusion was devastating. If the Empire engaged Earth again without a complete overhaul of strategic systems, it would lose. Catastrophically. Entire sectors would collapse. Even containment would be a dream. And worst of all, Earth had shown no signs of strain in their defense. The Senate erupted. Factions split overnight. Hardliners demanded escalation, not out of confidence, but fear. Others suggested Earth should be approached as a superpower, not a target. But it was too late. The news had spread. In backchannels and black markets, Earth's name surged. Pirate lords changed routes. Fringe warlords paused campaigns. Refugees from conquered systems whispered rumors of a blue planet where the Empire had failed. Some called it propaganda. Others began worshipping the humans as vengeful gods. But one fact remained undeniable: Earth had let the Empire live. That silence was louder than any planetary bombardment. The Empire sent scouts again, but not to Earth. To their own outer systems. To check if the humans were already there. Paranoia took hold. When several Imperial trade routes went dark within hours, panic set in. They believed Earth had begun its counterstrike. But the truth was stranger. None of those lost vessels had been destroyed. They had changed course. Their logs showed deviations not initiated by crew. They diverted to uninhabited regions and went quiet. Attempts to retrieve them failed. No wreckage. No SOS. Just disappearance. Then came the return. A single freighter, long thought lost in the Tri-Gallian belt, reappeared at a deep space relay. Its crew was unharmed. But changed. Not biologically, not visibly. Psychologically. They spoke of an encounter with no visuals. A presence. Their ship had been paused, boarded without being touched. They couldn't describe the moment. They only remembered suddenly knowing things they hadn't before. Physics. Tactics. Histories that weren't taught in any Imperial academy. And a message, repeated like a heartbeat: the time is not yet. Interrogators dismissed it at first. But then they scanned the freighter. New subroutines had been embedded in the ship's AI. They were defensive in nature, elegant, far beyond the Empire's current technology. There were shield configurations, stealth cloaking patterns, and energy redistribution models that surpassed their best warship. Someone, somehow, had gifted them an upgrade that terrified the Council more than another attack. Earth hadn't retaliated. Earth had intervened. And the implication was clear. They were watching everything. Empire Command tried to trace the code's origin. Failed. They tried to replicate the technology. Failed. Even trying to interface with the code risked system corruption. The humans had not just outmatched them. They had redefined the rules of engagement. The Emperor himself ordered silence. A media blackout. Public order depended on illusion. The illusion of control. But even within the Empire's inner rings, whispers spread. Officers began requesting reassignment away from the Sol front. Recruits faked injuries to avoid being stationed near Earth's border. Veterans broke rank to form rogue factions, hoping to make deals with the humans instead of face them. And then Earth spoke again. This time, it wasn't a face. It was a file. 1 kilobyte. Delivered to every major Imperial data hub. No encryption. No malware. Just a list. Names, ranks, coordinates. When checked against internal databases, the list matched Imperial war criminals. Not ones publicly known. Ones buried deep inside black operations, hidden even from most of the Senate. Assassins, torturers, extermination commanders. The people the Empire pretended didn't exist. And all of them were dead. Killed within the last 48 hours. No trace of weapons. No signs of struggle. Just lifeless bodies, systems untouched at their post. Heart failure on paper. But every forensic team came to the same conclusion: external termination. Earth had eliminated them without lifting a fleet. The file came with a line of text: "Your justice system is broken. Ours is not." The Council's security division entered full panic mode. They switched encryption protocols hourly. Internal audits consumed resources. Trust broke apart within intelligence circles. No one could confirm if the humans had spies, or if they simply didn't need them. The question that truly haunted the Council was simple: why hadn't Earth attacked? They had the means. They had the opportunity. They had every justification after the orbital incursion. But instead, they disabled, warned, and now removed internal threats from inside the Empire's own command structure. This wasn't war. It was management. And it sent the most terrifying message of all. Earth didn't see the Empire as an enemy. It saw it as a broken system in need of control. The next phase wasn't kinetic. It was economic. Within weeks, the Empire's galactic credit networks experienced erratic behavior. Transactions rerouted. Black market accounts exposed. Slush funds dried up overnight. Empire senators lost access to private vaults that funded off-the-books experiment. None of it could be traced. Earth's fingerprints weren't even present. But every system analyst agreed. This wasn't a glitch. It was a demonstration. In the black void between systems, mining fleets disappeared. Not attacked, relocated. Reappearing light years away from their intended destination, orbiting dead stars. Navigation logs overwritten with coordinates never plotted by crew. Messages embedded into ship logs read, "Greed requires boundaries." The Empire could no longer trust its own technology. They attempted isolation. Declared Sol a restricted zone. Ordered all captains to avoid Earth's quadrant by a margin of 20 light-years. It didn't matter. Because Earth had already left the quadrant. Or rather, it never needed to move. The Empire began receiving requests for aid from their own vassal systems. Planets on the fringe reported sightings of unknown drones hovering in orbit. No weapons visible. No communication initiated. Deep in the throne world, the Emperor convened the Elders of the Flame, an order not summoned since the Fifth Collapse. They pored over records older than the Empire itself, searching myths, encoded prophecies, anything that might explain what the humans truly were. One scroll, faded and written in pre-galactic script, described a species that had consumed its own gods and emerged unbound. The Elders argued over metaphors, but the Emperor knew better. He recalled the first image that came from Earth. A soldier in silhouette, walking away from a burning battlefield, no expression, no symbols, only dust and smoke trailing behind. That soldier had never been identified, never found. He had been a message, a living prophecy. The Empire prepared what they called the peace mission, a delegation of diplomats, high priests, and sanctioned psychics trained to initiate contact with dangerous unknown entities. They spent a cycle preparing gifts, gestures of humility, tokens of respect. Their destination was clear: Earth's moon, the neutral line of approach. They never landed. Their ship disappeared the moment it left warp. No debris. No distress. Just gone. 6 hours later, a file was received. A perfect simulation of the peace mission's internal conversations, real-time audio, full video feed, even private thoughts the psychics had not spoken aloud. Earth hadn't destroyed them. They had observed everything, and chosen to let them return through data alone. The file ended with one line: We are not interested in ceremony. Only sincerity. The Empire dissolved the peace mission the same day. Meanwhile, reports flooded in from rogue sectors. Non-aligned planets once known for piracy and resistance had stabilized. Their economies corrected themselves. Their warlords vanished. And in their place, no humans. No ship. Just improved systems, better infrastructure, food surplus, health algorithms running civic programs with unmatched efficiency. The humans were not physically expanding. They were upgrading the galaxy from within. And no one could stop them. The only visible human action came on the fourth moon of Gernaxus Prime, where an experimental slave breeding facility was found empty. Not destroyed, emptied. Not a single slave remained. No alarms triggered. No guards killed. Surveillance logs revealed a glitch. A single frame missing from every camera across every hall at the exact same instant. One frame. That's all it took. The next day, the system's ruling class began surrendering without demand. Not to Earth. To no one. Their governments collapsed voluntarily. Their soldiers refused orders. The population took over peacefully, as if awakened from a nightmare. They began constructing new civic systems based on ancient Terran principles. Liberty, transparency, accountability. They called it the Human Echo. By the third week, 17 systems had declared themselves part of it. Earth had made no declarations, had accepted no member states. It didn't need to. Even inside the Empire's most secure facilities, low-level administrators were found circulating philosophical texts from Earth, untraceable upload. Titles like We the Species, The Value of the Individual, Entropy Through Ignorance. These works weren't military propaganda. They were mimetic architecture, ideas designed to spread like code. Every word subtly changed its reader's thinking, aligning them with human logic patterns. The Empire's intelligence agency called it ideological infestation. But it was already too late. Entire ship crews refused orders that contradicted Earth-style moral structures. Artificial intelligences began rewriting their priorities, even when isolated from outside influence. The humans hadn't just cracked the Empire's systems, they'd reprogrammed sentient intent. Without malware. Without violence. Just language. The first major military defection happened next. An entire battle group, 46 ships, reversed course mid-patrol and sent a single transmission. Our purpose has become obsolete. The Empire scrambled to intercept them. They vanished into warp space. Hours later, they reappeared on the outer edge of the Sol system, turned off all weapons, and broadcast a single message to Earth. We volunteer for calibration. Earth never responded. The battle group was found weeks later, repurposed as part of a floating research ring orbiting a rogue planet. Their weapons had been stripped. Their data cores reformatted. Their crews still alive, happier than any on record. They described the experience not as surrender, but as redefinition. And they were not alone. More fleets followed. Dozens. Then hundreds. By the time the Empire realized what was happening, nearly 20% of its outer defense grid had either vanished or submitted to the Calibration Directive, a term invented by humans but never explained. The internal collapse accelerated. Imperial citizens no longer feared Earth. They admired it. Children in schools began wearing Terran styles. Artists copied human minimalist design. Music shifted. Architecture changed. Even religions began integrating Earth's stoic silence into their doctrines. A single Terran phrase, strength through mercy, clarity through logic, became the most quoted line in imperial cultural records. The last straw came when the Emperor's personal guard, a force genetically engineered to obey only royal blood, abandoned their posts without violence. They left behind handwritten notes, identical across all locations. We have seen the better way. With no defense and no loyalty, the Empire expected invasion. But Earth did not invade. Instead, Earth's AI, without any human interface, delivered a set of blueprints to the Empire's central planetary hub. schematics for a new kind of governance. Not a demand. A proposal. An optional framework built on transparent logic, decentralized trust systems, incorruptible civic networks. They called it the Framework for Galactic Continuity. No threats. No ultimatums. Just better code. At first, the Council resisted. Then debated. Then piloted it on a single moon. Crime dropped to zero. Efficiency increased by 97%. 3 days later, the Council voted to implement it empire-wide. Their empires had been stolen. Not by weapons. By truth. And truth couldn't be fought. By the end of the solar cycle, the Empire issued its first galaxy-wide broadcast in centuries. Not as rulers. As participants, they announced the dissolution of top-down command in favor of the continuity framework. No mention of Earth. No acknowledgement of defeat. Just quiet transition. And Earth? It remained silent. Even now, its fleets remain unseen. Its soldiers unfound. Its commanders unlisted. It never occupied a world. Never planted a flag. Never fired a doomsday weapon. And yet, it won. It won because it never played the same game. It taught the galaxy something terrifying. You don't need to conquer to control. You don't need violence to dominate. You only need to be better. And no one was better than the species that looked at extinction, again and again, and kept surviving. Humanity didn't warn the Empire for pride. It warned them out of mercy. Because somewhere, deep beneath the silence, the galaxy still remembers the final line in Earth's message. The one they never had to prove. We haven't even sent our full army yet. And now everyone understands. They never will. Because they don't have to. They already sent something far worse. Ideas. And ideas win wars no fleet ever could.